All right, that was kind of fun. I'm not going to lie. That was kind of fun last night. Let's start with the altercation that took place, 90 seconds into the game. Clay is kind of giving Jaden McDaniels a little bit of a stiff arm to kind of keep him off his body. So McDaniels holds on to Clay's arm. Now there's a tug and pull going on, pause, between those two. And neither one of them wanted to yield or back up. Now jerseys are being held. Clay's jersey gets ripped. Rudy steps in, and you know what happened from there, right? Draymond looked like young John Jones in there. The only thing he needed to do was pull guard, right? He should have just pulled guard. And Rudy, no surprise, surrendered right away like a fish out of water, right? Just flailing around. And I saw a lot of Dub Nation and Twitter talking about, oh, y'all are soft and like, come on, Draymond out there riding for his guy. I got to keep it a buck. I got to be objective. Draymond overreacted, right? Like Draymond escalated the situation. I know some people have shown like a picture of Rudy with his arm around Clay, like around this area. One, we know who Rudy is. He's not looking for that smoke, right? But Draymond, we also know, doesn't like Rudy Gobert, right? He couldn't wait to get his hands on him. And so, listen, I'm not gonna sit here and kill Draymond for protecting his guy, which is whatever. I think that it was more of who it was. Like, do you think he does that to Ant? I don't think so. So I think a big part of it was Rudy, and he couldn't wait to get his hands on him. And to me, him escalating the situation got Clay and McDaniels thrown out. If Draymond never comes over with the running headlock, right? I think that we just see McDaniels and Clay get double T's and they play on, right? So I'm not going to sit here and be a homer and say like Draymond was in the right and that's soft. No. I mean, if you play like that was too far. He went too far with it. Hopefully they don't suspend him anymore. I'm expecting a suspension probably for Thursday against OKC, but hopefully nothing more than that, just a fine or something like that. But yeah, that was crazy. But I think what was even crazier maybe were the unintended consequences of what took place the rest of that game, right? And so maybe we got to thank Dre. He knew what he was doing. He was just riling them up. Nah, I got something special for y'all today. I'm excited about this. This is the Muse 2 headband. It is an EEG-powered headband that is designed to help you achieve sharper focus, more calm and better sleep, as well as better athletic performance. Now, there's a ton of tech and science behind this. There are 7 sensors in the headband, and what that does is it allows for you to get real-time biofeedback as you get guided through their meditation programs. I want to focus on the sports performance side of things. You know me, right? And I think we tend to focus so much on the physical. Can I get faster? Can I jump higher? Can I get stronger? But we also know there are genetic limitations on those things. And we also know a ton of pro athletes that have all the physical gifts in the world, but they don't have it mentally. And the late, great Kobe Bryant, I think, was ahead of his time when he figured that out, right? Because he focused so much on being the best physical basketball player he could. But once he started meditating and getting mental reps, that's when he became the Mamba. And I just can't be more impressed with this product because I've tried to meditate. Have you? It's not easy. You don't even know if you're doing it, right? And again, with these real-time stats, it helps encourage you and shows you your progress to help you do this long term. So if you are interested in becoming a better athlete and maximizing your performance, click the link in the description right now. Go get a Muse 2 headband because they got a Black Friday sale running right now. Let's start with Steph missing the game first and foremost. Right now, in my breakdowns, I have pointed out how many times over the last 2 weeks he's had a knee to knee. You've probably noticed it, right? He turns the corner on a screen or he's trying to get through a screen. It started with Sabonis in Sacramento, and he's been taking these knee to knees. You know how bad they hurt, and he kind of limps them off. And then he took a fall late in the Wolves game Sunday night and hit the knee again. I believe it's just contusions. I don't think that it's like a stability landing twisting thing. So, contusions, you can kind of play through those if you want to, is what I'm getting at. And I think that, listen, again, no doubt Steph had a sore knee, but I think part of the decision to sit him was in a way to force Andrew Wiggins to step up and be more aggressive offensively, right? As well as probably let Clay get some more opportunity, because the truth of the matter is when you're on the court, when you're playing with Steph Curry, I think that a lot of the time there can be a natural hesitation that comes with your own shots and shot selection, because you look over and the greatest shooter of all time, is calling for the ball, is moving and getting ready to get open. So I think they wanted to try to kind of kickstart Wiggs and Clay by resting Steph, who, frankly, let's be honest, could use the rest. Again, I'm not saying his knee isn't sore, but I just don't think it was that serious. But then Clay obviously doesn't get that opportunity. I'm sure he was super frustrated because he was probably the most innocent of the three, if you go back and look at the situation. But for Wiggins, unfortunately, it really didn't work. Right now, I'm all right with the effort level. I mean, he took a couple quick threes, right? He had 7 boards. He was hitting the glass. He showed an added effort level. He had 3 steals. And you saw Steph, when he first checked out that first rest in the first quarter, you could see Steph encouraging him like, hey, man, just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep playing. Get out of your head, right? And so, again, Wiggins, he's not there yet. He didn't break out of the slump, obviously, but I think we're seeing him try to, which is the most important thing right now. But let me not bury the lead. Brandon Podziemski. Y'all can leave your apologies in the comments right now. Y'all can leave those apologies, those draft day. Listen, I welcomed him with open arms, like, hey, I don't know about it, but let's see. We got to wait and see. And I quickly, even in the California Classic, I was like, yo, I like it. I see the vision. I see how good of a basketball player he is, and he will look better in the NBA than he will in Summer League. Summer League is for hoopers. I tried to explain that to y'all. And he looks to be an elite competitor, right? That's so important. That's such an underlooked attribute. We can talk about size. We can talk about shooting. We can talk about big bags. What is your compete level? And there are markers that can kind of let you know, right? A guy that rebounds that well at that size probably competes pretty hard. And I think you see it in all these little areas of physicality and competitiveness, right? And he's just a skilled basketball player. There's a difference. We hear, oh, hey, he's in his bag. He's got a bag. Now I'm gonna compare him to Jordan Poole a little bit here, and some of y'all may not like that, right? But when you hear people talk about Jordan Poole, you say, oh, he's got a big bag. He's in his bag of tricks, right? Jordan Poole has dozens of moves, but when you actually look at his shot making, he really only has a couple of shots that he's efficient at and spots on the floor. Brandon Podziemski, when it comes to shot making, the boy's got a duffel bag. He's got a big bag when it comes to shot making. Now, he's fundamentally sound. How he gets there is pace, angles, right, and fundamentals. But you can see anywhere on the floor, he's got a shot for. He's got runners, he's got floaters, he's got pivots, he's got step backs. He's got a big bag when it comes to shot making. And there's a difference in that, and it's much more functional. Right? You saw the rebounding, the physicality. Corey Joe got in there, right? And he was rusty. I think we got to shoot Corey Joe a little bit of bail. He wasn't expecting to play. He hasn't been playing. You saw him step out of bounds. But both he and Podziemski are super physical. And you see it in the paint on box outs, on switches. They put their body into you. They're going to rough you up. And I think it was really startling to see how different the game looked with the young guys in there being physical and being athletic, right? Now, I think that there was an element after the toss and the core 3 not being in the game where Minnesota psychologically, I think, took their foot off the pedal a little bit. And then all of a sudden they're looking around, they're like, who is this kid, dude? Who is this kid? He's lighting us up, right? But then we saw why the Wolves are off to such a good start, their shot making and their depth. And I wanted to highlight Karl-Anthony Towns because he's someone who I've given a lot of flack to over the years. I think rightfully so. He's been a disappointment when you consider how he came into the league and how much talent he has, right? But now with Anthony Edwards being the true number 1 guy and bumping Towns to the number 2 guy, I think it's a perfect fit for him, right? And Ant, listen, it's no longer a question of is he going to be a superstar? It's where do you put him on the totem pole of young franchise players? Is he going to climb ahead of Luka and Tatum? Because it's coming. That's what it looks like. But back to Towns. We shaded over on Ant all game, which opened up Towns to attack closeouts, right? And get the three ball off. And he has such an elite first step for a 7-footer, right? It's quick and he can cover a lot of ground and he's heavy. So even though you know he can pump the three, you can't just sell out on it because he can get downhill and rumble on you. And you saw him mix it up and just eat us up, both ways. 5 threes, but he got downhill and finished as well. It's as good as I've seen him play, right? Down the stretch, the turnovers, right? Wiggins, you had to get him out of there. He was still struggling offensively. And you saw that play where Chris Paul, he didn't take the midi. He opted out of a layup. And I said it in today's breakdown. It's about 13 minutes. You can check the link in the description here and always check that out, support the channel. But Chris Paul, he's going to have to look to finish some of these layups, right? And he needs to do it like the women do it. And I'm not being derogatory or insulting here, like the women do it, or like you see over in Europe where you don't jump. Like if you watch my daughter, she plays high school basketball, and you watch a lot of girls basketball. When they finish at the cup, they don't elevate. They just go right off the two-step. They'll just flip it up. They're not even jumping, right? And that's how CP has to get these shots up. And he still has this propensity to kind of leap up in the air and try to make something happen. And so he needs to just walk right into that scooping quick shot and get some of those off. But as far as the mid-range goes, his spot, the right elbow and the right short corner are his obvious spots, and the entire league knows it, right? He gets there and they're just waiting for him there. And so he's going to have to back those spots out a little bit, back a couple feet out from the foul line and be comfortable taking that, or back out to the short corner or a floater or something. He's going to have to add, again, we talked about Podziemski's shot making. He's going to have to add spots to his shot making to be more effective offensively. I guess I would be remiss to not bring up Super Dario, right? Another 20-point game for him. And listen, man, since we're going to do this dynamic starting lineup thing, I think that there's a lot of matchups where it makes sense for him to start at the 5 or the 4 with he or Draymond or Looney. Like, just pick however you want to do it, because you see how dynamic he is offensively. Obviously, he spaces the floor. And then you talk about competitiveness again. I'm not going to say an elite competitor. He's a really strong competitor, right? Like, he has the juice. We know he has limitations in pick and roll coverage and defensively. But have you ever one time this season said to yourself when you're watching him, like, hey, man, he needs to go harder. Like, we need more effort from Dario. Like, he needs to compete better. Not once, right? So he has a high baseline there, and he's come as advertised, man. I'm impressed with him now. Obviously, it sucks to not get the dub. We need one. Where are we hovering at 500 now, 4 in a row? So yeah, you want that to fall apart there late and not be able to execute. It sucked, but I think we all understand what we saw from the young guys in the grand scheme of things. Big picture, you can't help but be excited. Steve said it himself post-game. Podziemski's going to play every night. Very rarely do you see a rookie snatch a rotation spot like that, but that's what he did last night. And you assume Steph may be out another game or two. It's going to give him more opportunity, but he looks just like what the doctor ordered as far as another shot creator and playmaker, a ball handler. But unfortunately, this 4-game streak, it may not come to an end this week. OKC is no joke, right? And so it may be a tough week here. But again, big picture, I'm excited to see the new rotation, and I think Podziemski is really going to help us in a lot of ways as far as shot creation, energy, right? Competitiveness. And that's at the core of team sports. We know in the pros, money is involved, egos, name brand, and all that. But ultimately, if you're not performing, next man up. And I think that the Warriors at this point right now have to take the next man up mentality. And so Podziemski, Moody, Trace Jackson, and these young fellas, give them their opportunity to help, because right now what we're doing isn't working. As always, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.